thing I enjoy about Advent Health is that it's similar to Disney, where we treat or make sure that we value the guest experience. And so same with Advent Health is that they value making sure patients have adequate care and just the wholeness that the care that our team provides to the patients that are within our network.
Guys, welcome back to the Have a Map podcast. My name's Ariana and I'm your host for this episode. Today we have intern Rachel Commandy, and we also have a special guest, Aloysius Rice. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Rachel, you go ahead and start.
So I am Rachel Commandy. I am a social media intern with DIM Events. I am also a student studying digital arts and culture at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Nice. My name is Aloysius Rice, as Ariana mentioned. I guess I should kind of go back in time. I got my degree in marketing from Mississippi State University way back when. Following that, I kind of migrated here to Florida, started a career with Disney, and I guess I should say former career with Disney. Presently, I'm working with Advent Health as a project manager, and pretty much it's a similar role with what I was doing at Disney, just in a different capacity in a different industry.
Awesome. I'm going to kick it off to Rachel to start our question.
So my first question is just how did you get started with your career? You mentioned your degree in marketing, but what has your career path looked like? And is what you ended up doing sort of what you wanted to do, or how has your career aspirations shifted throughout the years?
That is a very, very good question. I had no aspirations to work for Disney. It kind of happened on accident. I was walking through one of our buildings on campus, and I came across a flyer that was advertising the Disney College program. And I had some friends that did it. And so I had like a semester or so that I could kind of put off and, do the program. And I was just kind of going to, give it a shot. But my aspirations, it was in entertainment, but at the time I didn't really consider Disney as, the entertainment mogul that it is. I pictured myself working in Hollywood, maybe being an actor or something along the lines of that. And so when I moved down here, I fell in love with Disney so much that I left and then decided to come back to pursue another internship. And so I guess during that time, I kind of had an idea of like, okay, I want to really make a career out of Disney. I would just want to see where it takes me. And at the end of my program, my internship, I got an opportunity to help out with this tech rollout called My Magic Plus. And so if you've ever been to Walt Disney World Resort here in Florida, things have changed a lot over the last 7 years when it comes to the in-park and out-of-park experience. So there's like Magic Bands, there's this new Fast Pass Plus system where you book fast passes through the My Disney Experience app. So there's all these like technological changes. And so I was part of that rollout. And during that time, I was a project assistant, and I got interested in projects and like the overall life cycle of projects and just the coordination that goes into it. And so that's what kind of like, I guess, was my spark. So if you watch the movie Soul, then you'll get that. But I think that was my spark. And I started networking and just kind of getting a feel as to what other opportunities are out there with like project management, project coordination. And then that's when I stumbled upon Walt Disney Imagineering. And I ended up meeting some individuals that were my former colleagues, and eventually met my former director. And sometime later in 2015, an opportunity came up, and that was the golden ticket for me into the design and construction industry. And so, as I mentioned earlier, my background is marketing. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know anything about design, architecture, none of those things, let alone how to like manage and coordinate large projects like that. So it was really eye-opening, and it really fulfilled my or fuel my interest into wanting to gravitate more into this industry. And so that's what led me to this opportunity with Advent Health as a project manager. So that was a really long-winded answer, but that's kind of the gist of it.
You mentioned the importance of networking in sort of getting the career that you have now. Would you say that networking is the most important thing, or is it a mix of networking and work experience, or maybe just being at the right place at the right time with a willingness to learn?
Ooh, that's a good one. You hit it. I'm a big proponent of networking, and I think that I consider myself a product of like what you're saying in terms of like work experience. So like to kind of, I guess, go into a little bit more detail about my little jump into my past world of marketing. Um, Again, I didn't have a background in design, construction, art direction, even though I don't really do that. I didn't have any of those skill sets. So all those things, you can be taught that. You can easily learn how to do things like that. All it is just reading a book or going on YouTube or finding whatever source it is that you're comfortable with. I think it is the willingness to learn. I was very adamant about presenting that to the people that I was talking to as I was networking. I had examples of work that I did in my previous job before I got into Imagineering that emulated what I would be doing, or I had an idea of what I would be doing with Imagineering. And so I was able to kind of paint that picture and showcase that, even though I'm not in the role, I kind of have an idea of how it works. So I understand the workflow. However, there may be some finessing that we have to do once I get in the role, but this is kind of what I understand of it based off the individuals that I've talked to. And so I think that really helped, sell the story. And again, my background is marketing. It's all about talking to people, relationships, all that. So I think that's what helped me get my foot in the door. But as I talk to people and as I talk to individuals that reach out to me about getting into Imagineering or any type of other goals, et cetera, I always mention that verse that you said. So definitely networking, willingness to learn, and just having the can-do attitude. It'll carry you far.
I think that's like a great example of kind of like, pushing your limits and like taking risks, because I know it's like really easy to shy away from something when you're like, oh, well, I don't have like much knowledge in like that background. Like I don't have much like background knowledge about that. And so I think that's like a great example of just like taking risks, because you never know where it'll lead you to, And so I think that's really, really inspiring for people to be like, yeah, even though I didn't go to school for this, or I don't know this, like I can learn, and I know I have the ability to learn and to succeed at something that I didn't know that I was going to end up pursuing.
Exactly. And I'll even go back and add a little to that. When I went to college, I had an idea of, what I wanted to do, but at the same time, I don't know if that was really what was going to fuel, my soul and make me, just be passionate about, what I was going to do, whatever it was going to be. So I'm really big on talking to people and telling them, do whatever it is that makes you passionate. You don't have to go to college, you don't have to be a top-notch creative director you don't have to go to college to be a creative director. Sure, it helps with, credentials, things like that. But, we're all human, and most of our experiences are really organic. And I think that's what makes us all unique. And I think college is just a way to, get into, it's your first step into the world and learning how this crazy world operates. But, whatever it is that you're passionate about, pursue it. And if you don't, go to college, that's no big deal. That doesn't make you less successful at all. So I always mention that and encourage people to do whatever it is that fuels their interests. And honestly, if I could go back in time, um, I don't know. I probably would have did something in theater, or maybe this is really broad, maybe architecture. Because I do like the design stuff, but I also like art and stuff like that. So I think I was just kind of going with the flow, like, oh yeah, I like marketing in high school. Let me just do that. So, but yeah.
As someone who is at the very beginning of sort of establishing a professional career, it is really inspiring to hear that what you're interested in now and what you're pursuing now doesn't necessarily pigeonhole you into only one career for the rest of your life, that you can take what you're passionate about and other experiences that you develop and grow and explore new opportunities, whatever comes your way.
Yep. Exactly. I will preach about that, not preach, but I will talk about that all the time. And I'm all about, you know, just making sure that yourself, the individual, is happy in what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, the only person that it matters to is you. And just as long as you're happy and comfortable doing whatever it is you're doing, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. So I had to learn that the hard way. And I think now, again, as I talk to people, I make sure that I, mention that, because I know some people struggle with trying to figure out what it is they want to do. And, again, I just preach about like just having organic experiences and just seeing what's out there, whatever it is that fuels you.
So if you if you were to go back in time, what would be the one thing you would tell your younger self, like a piece of advice or something that you just wish you knew going into your career and the life that you would end up having?
Don't grow up. Just take your time, and we all, we all have birthdays, we all age, it'll happen, but enjoy each stage of your life and don't try to rush into being an adult, because now you got bills and you have, all this stuff. I have a 3-year-old toddler, and, I'm a dad, and I love it. I love it. But going back in time, I would definitely say just take your time and enjoy the teenage years and enjoy college, or whatever it is that you have going on at your age, just as long as it's legal, things like that. But, don't rush into it, because I can't even remember what, it was a quote that I came across on Instagram, and I can't remember the exact words, but it was something, I think it was actually something along the lines of like parenting. And it was like, don't rush your children to grow up type thing. So like, just making sure that they enjoy being a child, because they're so innocent. They don't have to be, poisoned, with the world and stuff. And I think that aids into a child's like creativity, or just, your overall creativity, because you're so forced to, fit the status quo, and you kind of have these blinders on. You're not really truly being yourself. So just as long as you can just enjoy your milestones, I think that's something that I would have did or told myself back in the day. So sorry, that was another long-winded answer.
That was really good advice. I feel like Rachel, I don't know if you experience this, but I feel like, especially on social media, like when I go on social media, everybody, especially Twitter, everybody's always like rushing everything, and they're like, oh, if you don't have this or this by the age of 25, then you're failing at life, or, you know,
Feeling. Yep,
you,
exactly.
yeah, it makes you feel like it's like this timeline, and you have to meet these certain dates and times, and it's like, it can get really overwhelming, because it's like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or oh, I'm doing too much, or you know what I mean? And like, it makes you forget that, everybody like goes through life at a different pace, and everybody's on their own journey and doing their own things. Like, it's okay to not be in your own house by this age, and it's okay if you're taking another year for college, or if it's, you know what I mean? And people make you think that you have to be doing the same thing as them in order to be considered successful. And it's really hard to kind of remind yourself, like, no, like, this is my journey, and like, I'm doing what I feel is right for me.
Exactly, exactly. And I was a victim of that too. Seeing, all my older, my friends and stuff, with houses, X, Y, and Z, 3, 4 kids, married, all these things, like as soon as I like graduated, I'm like, dang, do I need to jump and do this stuff too? I haven't even figured out what I wanted to really do. So just it's not about all of that. It's just taking your time and going with the flow. And I'm so happy to see a lot of people pursuing, like, travel, like, going here, going there, and just seeing the world. And that was probably another thing I wish I would have told myself too, like travel the world. But yeah, just, go out and be yourself and learn, because once you graduate high school, and say you do go to college, and you graduate from college, those are two different people. And even after that, there's going to be like a third person of you, at least in my opinion. So I think, you have to have all these different experiences, like traveling and just, being connected with yourself to really find out, who you are. And I think that that goes a long way. And I think that will, ultimately help shape, you down the road, as you, get settled within your career, your life, etc.
I know we kind of talked about how, like, a lot about like how everyone has their own path and their own timeline. And I know that like society kind of forces people to kind of find their self-worth through their success or through their jobs. And what advice would you give to someone who may not be at the top, and who may feel down on themselves because of it, because they find their self-worth through what they've accomplished. And so if they haven't accomplished much, maybe they feel like down on themselves, or like, how, like, what advice would you give to someone who maybe hasn't had their big break yet?
Gotcha. So like saying like they're working for some a company, or maybe they're like in school, stuff like that, and just trying to. So if I'd say if you're in a in the workforce, whatever that may be, whatever you may be doing, I think going back to what I was saying, like asking why. Because sometimes I think if you're kind of like stuck as far as like, dang, like, why am I here, what am I doing, you may not really know like what your purpose is. And sometimes it can be hard because, like, say for example, if I'll put Disney on the spot, if you're coming in as an intern through the Disney college program, you're not necessarily able to pick where you want to work. It's usually done by your attitude and how well you interview, and how you kind of present yourself through a phone interview. Now it may be a little different, but that's how it was for me. And I was lucky to work at an attraction. I worked at Kilimanjaro Safaris. If you've ever been to Disney's Animal Kingdom, the safari ride, I was a safari driver, Jambo Carabuni, all that. So I knew what the purpose was for our attraction. I knew why our attraction was there, what the message behind it, we wanted to make sure that we spread awareness on animal conservation or environmental, conservation and poaching. So, those are, really important topics. And it was eye-opening to me because I never looked at it through that lens. I just thought that, we just make a ride and that's it. And there we go. So I think understanding, why you're doing something may help kind of guide you and kind of realign you back into, your center as far as like what you should be, I guess, guiding towards. And if you're in a less attractive position, say at Disney, then I guess it's again understanding, what the purpose is. Why are you here? What are you doing? And even outside of Disney, what are you doing? Why are you there? And I think again, asking that question will probably help paint a lot of pictures. And sometimes even companies, they don't necessarily know the why. And I think that again, if you ask that and you ask it to the right person, hopefully if something isn't in place where they understand why they're there, then there will be something eventually created to help paint that picture. Because in the end, remember, you're supposed to add value to the company, and then the company's supposed to add value to you. So again, it's a trade-off. So
I think it can definitely be difficult at times to understand that like there's no small role mentality. So it's nice to be able to work at a company where the larger picture is something that is available and is easier to understand, to know, yes, what role you're doing and why you're doing it, but also what you're bringing to the people you're specifically interacting with, and what that is doing for the company. That is something that I definitely strive for in a career, and I think that's what a lot of people strive for as well.
mm-hmm. And I think like kind of adding a little bit more to that, in traditions, we were always, we were ingrained that, no matter what your role was or is at Disney, is that everybody takes care of, the park. So if you're walking, down Main Street, USA at, the Magic Kingdom, and you happen to see, Mickey ice cream bar paper on the ground, you pick it up and you throw it away. And that goes to say that no matter what your position is, whether you are the CEO of the company, or whether you are, the custodial cast member, everybody picks up and makes sure that, we keep the park clean for our guests. And that goes all the way back to Walt Disney's principles. And if you've been to, anywhere, any of our properties, you'll, once you come across one trash can, it won't be too far before you see another. So there was all these kind of like logistic things and equations and et cetera that, people came up with over the years that said, we need to place a trash can X amount of feet because guests tend to drop, paper, so we want to make sure that that kind of breaks that to help, with that. But that's one of the great things about, I enjoyed working here, was that no matter what position you were in, you never felt like, at least I never felt like anyone was over me. I could walk and see, the VP of Disney's Animal Kingdom, and, he'll say, hey, how's it going? And, hold a conversation with you. And, it just goes to show that, no matter his title or how busy his day may be, he takes the time and, says something like that. And again, that goes back to what I was saying too earlier. Like, as long as, when you're creating value, the person, whoever it may be at the top, they need to be around, the operation to see what's going on, because they may stumble upon that cast member who may not know what their purpose is. And then at that moment, that person that has that, that's in that position, in that capacity, can say, well, this is why you're here. And, this is, and here's my story. Here's how I got here. Because again, everybody that works at Disney has a story. And I think that's what really fuels all of us working here, is that we share and we grow off of each other. And that's what helps us grow. And, that's why we have so many great products. So that was another one. Sorry. I just love talking about Disney. So I grew up with Disney, and, so there we go.
This has been a very Disney-centric conversation. So like, how would you recommend someone like get through the door at Disney? Is there any standard way, or is it just working hard and being at the right place?
It's a little of both. But if you're just trying to, if you have time and you have, if you have time to spare and you're not in a rush, again, we don't want to be, you don't have to be in a rush. Remember what we talked about earlier. So for anyone listening, you don't have to rush and have life figured out. So one thing about Disney is that, if you, I think as of maybe a few months ago, they started taking college program participants back. So the college program portal at one point was open where you could sign up to intern at Disney. And I think at some point they may have professional internships, coming down the pipeline. But those are great ways to get your foot into the door. And as if you're fortunate enough to get into, one of those roles where there's a professional internship or on the Disney College program, you want to really take advantage of, talking to as many people as you can. Sorry, it is Florida, and it rains every day at like 4:30. So it's like a little late, but it's coming through. But you want to take the time to talk to, as many people as you can. And even if you don't know what your purpose is, or know what your spark is, you can at least get a feel for everyone that's a seasoned, cast member, and they'll tell you, this is my walk of life, etc. And I think that's what really helped paint the picture for me. And as you navigate through Disney, it's all about relationships, and it's all about the people, that you meet. Everybody knows each other. It's about, I can't remember how many people are in Florida, but I have a lot of mutual friends and that works at Disney, and we all know each other. It's crazy. So people will come to know you, and they will gravitate to you. And again, those stories that we share with each other, they all fuel us. And I think that's what really helped get me where I am. So networking, in short, even if you don't know what you're doing, talk to people. And, if you can, where applicable, shadow where you can. If you're interested in learning about a certain position or a certain department, see if you can do a meet and greet, or a one-on-one with that individual. And you'll be surprised what could come out of that. You never know. So opportunities are there only if you ask. Sometimes you don't ask and you won't ever know. So
For sure. Okay, I have like a little lighthearted question, but what is your favorite Disney character? Or
oh
who?
ooh you probably haven't even seen it. Let me guess. No, let me ask you, have you seen Treasure Planet? I'm not gonna say he's my favorite character, but
Treasure Planet. I don't think I have. Rachel, have you?
I have. It's an oldie but a goodie.
a oldie but a goodie. See, it's one of those, like, people don't know about it, but you gotta watch it. So add it. I don't think it's on any platform, but it's on Disney Plus, I think.
Is
But
it okay? I
check
have
it,
to
check it
watch
out.
it.
Check it out. I'd probably say that's my favorite. Uh, probably my favorite movie, but I do like the characters in it. But Jim, uh, he's one of the main characters, and I think I kind of relate to him a lot because I'm not going to say I was like a troublemaker or anything as a child, but in the movie, I'm not without spoiling it. He kind of gets into a little trouble, and he's a really smart kid, and I think that, and he had like some hardships and stuff growing up, and so I kind of like felt connected to him in a sense, and all he really wanted to do was do whatever it is that made him happy, and he was a talented person. He's a talented person, but he just had some craziness in his young adolescent stage. But anyway, there's there's a wonderful climax and then a wonderful end to the story. But I think I probably relate to him. But the movie is awesome. It's like one of the best Disney movies, underrated Disney movies. So check it out.
From the way you describe it, I feel like I might have seen it. I don't know. I feel like I might have seen it.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Like, hear from me. Like, it's the best. It's the best. I like all the classic stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah. What about yours?
Ooh. I I don't even, well, I'm like a big Marvel fan, and I know Disney kind of owns Marvel now. So like definitely Marvel is definitely like everything Marvel I love. But
Oh, go
I
ahead.
yeah, I feel like I love every Disney movie. I feel like it always has such a good message. Like that new movie like Luca, that was so cute. I just saw that. I watched it with my nephews. It was adorable. The new movie was, is it Raya?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was cute too. They always come out with the cutest movies, and I love how it's starting to be so like more inclusive, like more diversity within their animated characters. And yeah.
Right. Agreed. What about you, Rachel? What's your favorite?
My favorite Disney movie is probably underrated as well, Saving Mr. Banks. Um,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Not a lot of people have seen it, but it basically talks about how they made Mary Poppins. And I never really loved Mary Poppins as a kid. I enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed getting to see them peel back the layers of the story behind this timeless, magical classic, and getting to know like what goes into such a pivotal part of Disney history at the time. I think it's a really lovely story, and it's shot very beautifully. That's probably one of my favorite movies of all time, and then just made better by the fact that it's Disney.
Uh, See, I have a confession to make. When I watched that, I think I cried. It I don't know what it was, but there was just so much emotion that went into that. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what it was, but anytime I watch it, I get teary-eyed. So
I
yeah.
can't make it through without sobbing.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm not the only one. So I'm not afraid to admit that.
No, I'm a baby with certain movies. Like if it's sad, I'll cry, like for sure. But I feel like so you know how you always have like that one movie that you always watch? Like I feel like my comfort Disney movie is Tangled. I don't know why, but I feel like it's so lighthearted and innocent, and like it just makes you feel like life is good. Like it just highlights all like the beautiful things about life, and it makes you like feel grateful for everything you have, especially because like the main character, Rapunzel, like she had never been like in the real world. So she's like, oh my gosh, grass. And you're like, it's grass. But then you're like, oh, it's grass, it's like pretty, it's nice. Like the world is like a beautiful place. And sometimes you gotta like, be like kind of recognize that again and like be grateful for where you are. And it kind of keeps you like grounded and, mindful of that.
I have those, I have a few of those movies too, where like it gives me happies and stuff. I remember when I was a kid, I think one of the first Disney movies I saw was The Rescuers. or maybe Robin Hood. I think Robin Hood is probably like the number one for me. But I remember, like while my mom, was either, fixing us food, or whatever, like I would be watching, while she was doing, X, Y, and Z as a kid. And it just, gave me all these warm and fuzzies, as anytime I saw it on TV, I would, go and watch it sometimes just to kind of reminisce from that, era. But I think that's one thing I like about, our movies is that no matter what age we are, we connect to it in some way. And it's always our go-to to, keep us grounded, make us happy, and just gives us so much emotion. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love Disney Plus too, because they have like everything on there, like
Yeah.
old. And it's so crazy. Like I know I was watching my nephews and they were like, I was watching them watch Sandlot, and I'm like, it's so crazy because they're like that movie was made a while back and they're so young, and it's like it's crazy to see how like, older generations like childhood is like now available to like newer generations. And it's like, and even when I'm scrolling through Disney Plus, I'm like, oh my God, like I forgot about that movie. Like I totally forgot it even existed, and it brings back so many memories.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yes, it's wonderful getting to rediscover old favorites and then new old favorites that you might have missed.
Agreed. You guys have me wanting to watch something tonight, so we'll see.
Yes, for sure. We have this popcorn maker in my house, and so like I'm finally, we stopped using it for a while, but I'm finally like using it again. I feel like I'm like the movie theater person with all like the popcorn and stuff. But I love like just eating popcorn and watching movies. My family loves having movie nights, and Disney Plus is definitely a go. I'll probably have to do that tonight too.
Yep. I think I'm sold too now. So once my kiddo gets home, we're gonna pop in a movie. No, we don't do that anymore. It's 2021.
Yeah,
On Disney Plus and watch it, watch something.
that's
And it'll probably be Luca because I watched that for like the 10th time. So yep.
So
Yep.
good.
it's good. It's so cute.
To take us on just another quick tangent, real quick, do you have a favorite Disney Parks attraction?
Oh, that's a good question.
If it's too difficult, I'm very sorry.
No, I Kilimanjaro Safaris because I work there, and I'm a little biased to that because obviously, but that is probably my favorite, and honestly, not just because I work there. My mom and my sister and my niece, and my dad stuff, my family, I should say all that. They got a chance to ride my safari, I think sometime before I started like my middle job with Disney, so where I wasn't driving anymore. And so I think that'll always have a special place with me, no matter when I'll ride, no matter, when I go ride it again, I will always like, think about that moment, when I got a chance to give them, my safari spiel. So I think that's probably my favorite. But outside of like that, probably, probably, I'm not going to say Flight of Passage, but I like Flight of Passage. I didn't work on the attraction, but I really like that ride. It's a if you have you guys ever rode Flight of Passage? Okay, it's it's I think I'm trying to think how many. Yeah, so there's like 4 ride rooms, and just the amount of work that goes into programming all of that, like blew my mind, like just back end stuff. But just the amount of work and the amount of people that touch that, it fascinated me. And so, and plus that was like one of the that attraction and that land was probably like the staple for like what we're doing now with like, what they're doing now with like Star Wars lands and all these immersive lands and stuff. So I think that's probably like my second favorite is Flight of Passage. So
Uh,
yeah.
Animal Kingdom is my most definitely my favorite park. Like out of the four, Animal Kingdom is my favorite. And I loved that Avatar ride. It was so cool. It's like a simulation.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. I should have said, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah. And then like even when you're waiting in line, it literally has everything from the movie, like the lab. And I was like, yeah. And then they had an actual like real life size avatar floating in like a tub or whatever. And I was like, this is cool. What? I was
Yeah.
like, okay, Disney. Like the Animal Kingdom is most definitely my favorite park out of all four of them. That I love that park.
I agreed. And Rachel, you have to agree too, otherwise we disown you.
Yeah.
Oh, I will talk about my love of Flight of Passage for years to come. It is consistently the ride that just makes me drop my jaw every time I see it. It is spectacular. Yeah, just all of the work that must have went into it, and it is breathtaking.
Yeah, it is. Did you guys next time you go, look out for my picture in the queue area, like where that figure in the amnio tank is. My profile sometimes cycles through, so next time see if you can find me.
Ooh, I will. That's
Well,
cool.
scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, my audio clipped out. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry about that, but yeah, so yeah, next time check it out.
Is that your favorite part too, Rachel?
I'm probably more of a Hollywood Studios fan, although I love all the parks.
Hollywood Studios is probably my least favorite.
What?
Oh, ouch.
I haven't been on Rockin', what is it called? Rocking.
Like in roller coaster?
Yeah, I haven't been
It
on
would-
that
yeah.
ride. I haven't been on that one. I don't know why it's my least favorite. I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I it's the least park that I probably been to recently. But I do enjoy going there, and I have really yet to even see like Star Wars Land. Um, I've been there, but I haven't like rode the attraction or anything like that. But
Yeah.
but
Isn't
yeah,
that new?
yeah, it's new. It
Okay.
opened just before the pandemic, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. But
'Cause,
yeah.
I went to Disney for like New Year's, so it was like really close before like the pandemic hit. And
Mhm.
I remember that attraction like was really new, and you had to like have like you had to either get like super early or already have like it was just hard to like get to like you because it was so new.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I never got to see it, but I heard it was like really cool. I've never been like a Star Wars junkie, but I think I've heard that it's really like really cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I feel
it's
yeah.
I'm not a Star Wars junkie either, but it is cool. Like, the portfolio, all that, like the trilogy, the, stuff, Star Wars stuff, but I don't get it. So
I like Star Wars. I don't love Star Wars to the extent that I know a lot of people do, but I've always appreciated more of like the Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard areas of the park. I like the movie making aspect and just being able to walk around like old-timey Hollywood, and you get immersed in that with the music and the sights, the sounds.
I agree with that. I think that part of Hollywood Studios is really cool. I agree with that for sure. But I have to say, after Animal Kingdom, Epcot, I love that place.
Oh, it has a special place in my heart too. Yeah,
Yeah.
love Epcot too. And hopefully by the time you guys come back, or next time you come back, they'll have Ratatouille supposed to open up later this year.
Really?
So that was one of the last attractions I worked on. I did work on one after that, but that was one of the ones that I touched right after Avatar. But I'm looking forward to that because it's a fun ride. So yeah.
Awesome.
Is there anything we should look out for in Ratatouille? Little Easter eggs? Anything you can tease?
No, nothing I can't tease. But I will just say, like, just like with everything, when you're walking through the parks and stuff, if you really hone in on some of the details, whether it's like, you see like a newspaper ad or better yet, like say a magazine ad in a window display or something like that. Sometimes there's like hidden things in there. It could be like Imagineers names, special dates, stuff like that. So just kind of keep your eyes on like little details like that, because we just don't put it out in front of you and say, there you go. You have to really like, if you're looking for things, you'll find them. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So to kind of like close us out and whatnot, if you could leave the viewers with anything today, what would you want them to take out of our conversation?
I would probably say, no matter, it's okay to not know what you want to do right now. That doesn't mean that you are less successful or anything like that. Take your time, figure out what it is that, gives you purpose, that fuels your, passion, and you'll know when you know. And then, once you do discover your purpose and when you're ready to start walking in it, um, networking will aid you and guide you along the way. Make sure you talk to people that you come across, meet everyone. Uh, oh no,
Sorry,
you
guys.
no, you're good. I was actually hoping that wasn't me, because I forgot to do that to mine. Because
It was my computer. My phone isn't has the ringer off, and my computer just
oh, okay.
screaming at me.
No, it's all good, all good. But yeah, so talk to people, meet people, and no matter where life, success takes you, never ever forget, um, never ever forget the person at the bottom, no matter how high you go. That is important. That is important. We've got to, as new people, as a new young generation, our generation, there's this transition that's about to happen where, baby boomers, et cetera, they're going to be retiring, and then it's going to be us, leading the world. And so, ideally, we want it to be a much better place than what it is now. And, we understand what it is to make it better. And it all starts with us. And no matter what job you have, whatever industry it is in, always remember the little person at the bottom, and don't be afraid, or don't shy away from that. Treat them just like you would your other C-suite, you know, co-workers, if you will. So everybody's important, and never ever forget that. And what else I will say? Yeah, I think that's probably it. Just, and always have a willingness to learn, and that will carry you far, far greater than any degree, could carry me. So I feel like if I didn't have my degree, I probably would, probably have maybe had these positions. I don't know. But I have a willingness to learn. It shows your character, and it, you know, shows that are willing to do, whatever it takes to add value and receive that value. So, and always remember that it's a trade-off. So you get something, and then the company gets something in return. So I think that's what I would say to kind of wrap it up in a bow.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Aloysius, for joining us. And thank you, Rachel, for asking great questions and for being here. Make sure you guys tune in for the following weeks for Have a Map podcast. We have some great guests. And thank you so much for joining us. Does anybody have any last words they want to say?
Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoy, speaking with people, and I enjoy, forums like this. So I will always put time down to make sure that I do something like this. So thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, we loved having you. Thank you so much.